Let's do some German Navy gameplay after the No Compromise, No Surrender DLC. I'll go over all the major Navy-related things I do as I'm playing, and we'll see if we can't sea lion under the new mechanics. Based on my experiences playing around so far, your general Navy stuff isn't all that different from how things worked before, but due to how the AI currently acts, I think winning the Naval War is maybe easier than it's ever been. In the old system, the AI would split off ships to patrol around their waters, and you could pick them off one at a time to slowly whittle their fleet down. But now with the new orders and naval supremacy multipliers, I think they're more encouraged to break up their fleet, which generally lets you defeat them in detail, so we'll see what we can do, see if it's any easier or harder. First thing I'm gonna do, F2, we're going to hold shift and click on all of these guys, and then we are going to hold control, right click this high level port, just to get all of our ships in one place. For production, typically what I like to do, actually these, the very early, the sub 1s specifically have such little HP, they just kind of die, and I find they don't really do much, so I'm just going to delete those, no matter how close to completion they are. Everything else, we're just going to let them finish, drop everything down to 1. You don't have to hyper-optimize Navy against the AI, really. Then we'll just fill out all of the docks here so it's not yelling at me later. When it comes to getting naval techs, a lot of these are kind of bait, honestly. You don't... I mean, they all help, but you don't really need a lot of them. Primary thing is for your hulls, you really don't need to go beyond hull 2 for anything. Like, hull 3s are improvements, and there are reasons to go for sub 3. Other than sub 3, though, you really don't need all of these. If you just get up to 2 and then start producing 2s, that'll carry you through just about anything. Same thing kind of goes for sonar. You don't really need sonar 2. 1 works just fine. 2 is a bit of an improvement, but do you really need it? Not really. Same thing goes for depth charges. If you just have depth charge 1, you're good. I would recommend getting smoke generators. That one helps. And then just these very first gun techs here will give you your heavy batteries, your medium batteries, and you get the secondary 2s from this one. This is a really good module later on when you're building your ships. And these little stat bonuses here are also very nice, and they don't take all that long to research, so I'll grab those. Again, you can keep going on. You can get, like, especially the anti-air secondary 3s here are really good. But you absolutely don't need them, and you get them so comparatively late that you don't really have to bother with it. Again, same thing for these stat bonuses. They're great to have. Is it worth the research to get up here? Maybe not. So once upon a time, these would only matter for your surface ships, these torpedoes. You would get the higher level torpedo tubes just from researching the higher level submarines. So I'm going to do a test real quick to see if that is still the case. Okay, so they have changed it. So now, if you want to do submarines, I would actually recommend picking up some of these torpedo techs here, because these torpedo 3s are pretty good. Honestly, you still probably don't even need to. The AI is so bad at responding to submarines that this is also still superfluous, but it will help. That's kind of the name of the game for all of the Navy techs. They do help, but it's just a matter of, you know, how important is it really? So these damage control, fire control, these ones are really good. I would recommend going down both of these. They just give you passive stats for all of your ships. I've messed around a bit with the repair and support ships. They're probably good, fine. I really can't tell. All I know is you do not need them to beat anything the AI will throw at you. So it's another one of those things, you know, they probably help. You absolutely don't need them. This transport line is important if you're going to do any sort of naval invading. It gives you stats on your naval invasions. It gives you the ability to make floating harbors. It gives you greater invasion capacity. That was one of the big changes. You can't spam out tons of orders anymore. You're limited to very few orders. Right here in these two. That's all I can do right now. If you hover over, Naval Invasion Plan Cap 2 reached. But if you research this, it'll increase your plan capacity by 3, reduces your time to prepare. That's the other thing. If you can't split and just have little singular invasions anymore that take like 7 days to plan. Now it's always going to take the 50 days to plan out the naval invasion or whatever it is. So a little bit more effort to island hop around. These techs, you don't need them. Although underway replenishment can help if you're playing as the US or Japan, because naval range is an issue now, I've noticed. Your supply doesn't go as far with the restrictions on leveling up your naval bases. So this is maybe something to do if you're having trouble invading the Americas as Japan or vice versa. Mine warfare, completely irrelevant. There's just no reason to ever bother with any of these against the AI. Another thing I'll typically do pretty early on, you hit this naval repair queue. This is where all your ships will, you can see them repairing whenever they get damaged in combat. If you hold down shift, click this, you can increase it in large increments. I usually just make my, this is the amount of dockyards available for repair. I usually max it out. If there's some ship that you always want continuous production on, you want it out by a certain date, you can keep this, somewhere below, like you can reserve 5 dockyards to always be building new ships, but I would prefer just to keep everything repaired when I want them repaired. We'll get into more on that later. Now we let the game run. We'll see all our ships kind of grouping up here. Once they're grouped up, you can just click on the stack, hit G, that merges them all together. And now, once they're all merged together, if you have the fuel, that's a big if, but if you have the fuel, you can set them to infinitely train. Make sure you click this to turn on automatic split off enabled. This way, once ships start taking damage from training, they'll automatically break off and go repair, and you don't stop the entire fleet from training. Make sure your repair priority is set to high while you're training. Make sure automatic split off is enabled. That's all you got to do, and you can just let them run, and they will generate a ton of naval experience if you have a lot of ships. The only problem is it's very fuel expensive. See here, our fuel starts to deplete rapidly. So something you might want to do just to get some training and some experience is you could take the force, you can hit D to split it in half, maybe turn it off for one of these guys. That way you're not consuming as much fuel. You could also just import fuel, but that's a question of how much do you value your civilian factories versus your Navy XP and ship training. But Navy XP is the easiest kind of XP to get because you can train, because as you can see here, just from the not super large German Navy, we're already getting 0.4 per day from training. Usually your advisors for Navy XP are 0.3. You can get a Donitz for 0.4 for 200 political power. Typically not worth the Navy advisor is usually one of the last things I'll pick up just because it's so easy to get Navy experience compared to all the other things you need to be doing. Now once you get 35 Navy experience, you're able to hit Shift E to open up your officer corps here. And you could pick some of these Navy spirits. Due to the changes, some of them will no longer be available to you, like you need base strike in order to get naval reform. To be honest, I wouldn't really worry about these until it's time to actually start fighting people. Instilled aggression is pretty much the only thing that matters for this first tier. It just gives you extra attack on your admirals. You can maybe do some of these other ones if you're trying to specifically roll somebody with Blockade Runner or Sea Wolf or something like that if you're making new admirals, but honestly, you really don't need to. You can just go Instilled Aggression every single game and be totally fine. Just because there's so few buffs, like this fleet interoperability is the only thing that actually buffs your ships. So this one's a pretty good pick. Mines are kind of useless. This submarine thing doesn't really do that much for you. There aren't that many submarine techs, so you're not getting a huge benefit out of this. Integrated designers could be kind of useful if you're going to go out and grab all of the ship modules if you want to make like really good ships for some reason. Don't need it at all. Naval reform is really good if you're the United States or just some nation with a bunch of fuel and a big navy that can just train them infinitely to get insane amounts of Navy XP, which again, just the United States pretty much exclusively. Naval refit yards, if you're fleet and being, are good. They just let your ships repair faster. The refitting thing can also be nice, and refitting is good, but honestly, is it worth the micro? It's still very fiddly, very intensive. You have to essentially take whatever design you have, and then you make a duplicate of it while adding on, like once you get radar, you can put it on there, make a duplicate of it, and then you have to go into your navy, select all of the ships that are compatible with that design, hit the refit ship button to switch to the new ship, and then that'll take them, 30 days or whatever to put radar on. Like, it's good if you want to min-max. That's definitely what you want to be doing, but it's just such a pain, and you don't need it. You just do not need it to beat the AI, so I typically don't bother. But this is a good pick, regardless, if even just for the repair speed. And none of the other ones really matter at all. And then for this third one, selective engagement is incredibly good. Anything that lowers visibility is good. Just because of the way the calculations work in combat, all you need to know basically is visibility reduces the enemy chance to hit you. This visibility is basically like improving your dodge chance. So anything that lowers your visibility is going to be very high value. Only other things to consider. Inclement weather, this helps a lot if you're going for a mass carrier build and there's a storm. Storms absolutely destroy your carrier's ability to fight. This lets them fight. It's still not good, but they can fight. Generally, it's better just to not fight in storms or to disengage if you pick a fight in a storm and you're very carrier heavy. Night fighting, again, lowers visibility, increases the damage you do during nighttime. Now you get some spotting too. If you can pick this one, it's also very good. Other than those, I'd say maybe Naval Tripwire could have some value, but because of the way the AI splits up their fleet, typically the fleet size penalty is not going to affect them all that much. Screening efficiency could be nice. Like, all of these things, they're really just not super important, honestly. Just the big ones are selective engagement or night fighting. Those are the ones you want if you can pick them. Otherwise, it doesn't really matter. As I forgot to mention, one of the other techs you'll want if you want to be doing naval invasions is perhaps Marines. You can get away with naval invading the AI without using Marines, but they are very good for naval invasions, so we'll throw those on there. So here is one of the problems with constantly training your navy. Now, once you get low on fuel, you get all of these really bad debuffs. Okay, if you read over those, you can see you just do not want to be low on fuel. It only really matters in combat still, kind of like it used to, but yeah, you're basically far more disincentivized now from just burning all of your fuel on training. Okay, whenever you have ships in reserve here, you can just click on this, right-click on, whatever admiral you want to put it under. It moves the whole group. Alternatively, you can do it up here. You see, reserve to guy. You can click this, put it in the reserve, put it back under the admiral. Doing it over here is usually the fastest way to get all your ships arranged, but sometimes if you're, you just want to split off. Here's a great example, actually. Your submarines, you typically don't want to have submarines in whatever your strike force fleet is, your main fleet with all your big expensive ships, because submarines are very slow, and your task force can only move as quickly as the slowest ship. So you want to get all the submarines out of there so you're not burning all the extra fuel and moving way more slowly and you're not able to catch up and engage in any battles. So if you right-click on submarine, this works for any of the ship types, by the way, but right-click on the submarine, you can see you can pick specific ships here, or you can just hit all submarine. I'll usually do that, and now you can see I just have a stack of all of the submarines. This one is completely bereft of submarines. And now if you wanted, you could put this under a new Admiral, and he can be your sub-Admiral. You can hit D to split it a couple times, and there you go, boom. You have 4 really easy submarine stacks. I'm sure we'll do this later, but then you just right-click, you know, assign your sea zones, you hit convoy rating, boom, that's it. That's all you really need to know for rating. You might double-tap this, too. If you see when it has the, this, like, half and half shade cutting across it, that just means that some of your task forces are set to one rule and some of them are set to the other rule. For submarines, I pretty much always leave automatic split off enabled, because it doesn't really matter to me if I'm engaging an enemy convoy with 7 subs versus 6 subs. I just want the subs shooting at the convoys. So if you do that, the ones that get damaged, they'll go back to repair. The other ones will keep hunting down convoys. Conversely, for your main fleet, whatever you're using for strike force, I'll typically turn auto split off, and I'll turn repair to never. And that way your ships won't just randomly kind of dissolve and split in different directions when you're trying to have multiple big naval battles going on. You don't want to weaken your force at a crucial moment. And then whenever you see, you'll get a warning up here that will say, like, capital ships on low strength. That's when you go, oh, maybe I need to chill for a bit. And then all you have to do, you hit this repair now button. You can still leave it on never repair. That doesn't need to change. You just hit repair now. The whole fleet will immediately go back and start repairing. But for now, whenever you're training, you want to make sure you have everything set to auto repair, repair high, split off, so that you're not accidentally sinking your ships just by doing exercises. Like you can see, this guy took some damage here. He's going to keep repairing. Control right click on ports will designate that port as your base of operations, and that's where all your supply will come from. So you typically want to look for a high level port. Like this one's level 8, that's very high. We have a level 6 over here, that would be good. If I put it to this level 1, I might run into supply problems if there are too many ships here, because not as much supply can pass through a level 1 port. So try to stick to the higher supply ports and try to set your main base port as one that is near where you're going to be conducting operations. I suppose one of the things you do want to be doing with your Navy XP, especially early on, each of these new naval doctrines, it's going to cost you 100 to unlock. It'll cost you 100 to pick your main doctrine too, if you haven't had that unlocked yet. But you can't start gaining progress towards your doctrine tree until you pick one of these. So your first, what is that, 400 or 500 XP, you should probably spend just getting these doctrines. You'll get progress on them through combat, but you also get it through training. So just constantly training your Navy like this will also give you progress towards the next doctrine unlocks. Now, when it comes to naval strategies, one of the more dominant naval strategies is still using NAVs, just using planes. There was a bug for a bit where NAVs weren't properly doing damage in naval battles. I think they already fixed that, though. I think they're back to just being really good like they always were. If you want to know just a good, standard, strong meta design for creating a naval bomber, you start with a basic medium airframe, throw on the 2 light machine guns, just the cheapest possible version. This does classify it as a heavy fighter. Keep that in mind. You don't want this mixing in with any other heavy fighters if you're building actual heavy fighters. But this allows you to put 2 naval torpedoes on here, which is very strong. If you have engine 3s, you want to do the twin engine 3s. Until then, you can do 3 engine 2s. And you can go double extra fuel tank. This is very important. This is why using the medium airframes are nice for naval bombers. It's really hard to get range in these sea zones, and it's really hard to get air efficiency if you don't have the range. So this 1800 range, really good. You can make them a bit sturdier by throwing on 2 of these light machine gun turrets. You have enough weight to throw on a 3rd one there. And then if you're Germany, you probably want to just do this ranged focus thing because it gives you crazy range bonuses, and it's really OP. If you're playing some other nation or you're playing mods or whatever, and you're just kind of looking at your various MEOs, the generic medium plane MEO has bonuses for naval attack for all medium planes, so that helps you. That's another thing to keep in mind, though, if you're playing any mods or looking at any focus trees, looking at any bonuses, and they say they buff your naval bombers, it will not buff this, because this is technically a heavy fighter, but you use it for naval bombing, so just something to keep in mind. This is basically, like, this alone will win you naval wars, essentially. The only things you change as you upgrade your tech are Torpedo 2 is a very, very good upgrade. You swap both of these with Torpedo 2, and you swap this with the twin engine 3 once it's available, and then that's your end game. Run it until you die naval bomber. If you put, like, I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 mils on this, it'll win any naval war you could possibly have against pretty much any AI in the game. It's very strong. When it comes to Naval Advisors, this might actually be a little bit different now. I think speed these days is not quite as good as it once was, but naval speed is still a very good stat, similar to visibility. It kind of acts as dodge chance, and just having fast ships is actually good. Like, the speed at which your fleets can move around the water to scout for enemy ships or to engage enemy task forces does kind of matter. And these ones that give raw stats, like for capital ships, are also good. Convoy raiding efficiency is not bad if you're primarily doing convoy raiding. The only thing is the AI is so bad at defending its convoys that this is one of the things you genuinely just do not need. Okay, now we finally have some free dockyards. We've gone through pretty much all of those ships that we're building at the start of the game. So now, in terms of what kind of ships you want to be building, honestly, there are a number of different strategies that are all viable. You can go for carriers, you can make battleships, although they take a long time to produce. Battle cruisers, same thing, they're a little bit cheaper, they're a little bit weaker, maybe a little faster though. Submarines are just kind of universally good. I guess we should go over a few of these designs. For submarines, basically what you want to do is max torpedoes you can fit on a sub, what is this, 2? You only have these 2 slots for torpedoes. Once you get to sub 3, this slot you can put a torpedo, and then this slot, if you have radar, put it on there. If you have snorkel, put it on there. If you have the special project anechoic tiles, put it on there. Of those 3, radar is the weakest, but if you have it, you might as well use it. It increases your surface detection, which will help you find and sink convoys. The other ones, snorkel and anechoic tiles, reduce your visibility. I pretty much only ever go for anechoic tiles now because it reduces a lot more than snorkel does, but it does cost a lot of rubber. So if you're worried about rubber availability, maybe you might want to go for snorkel. And then you just want the best possible engine, and that's all you do for submarines. Destroyers, typically you just want them to be as cheap as possible. You want the best engine. You pretty much always want the best possible engine in any ship because it boosts your max speed, which is pretty important for survivability and just for moving around. You could make quality destroyers, but I think it's better just to make kind of like sort of trash, more disposable destroyers. If you really want to min-max, you can make like bathtubs, they call them, where it's pretty much this. This would be your destroyer design. This is just for screening because they are dirt cheap. You can just spam out a ton of these and you will always have all the screening you need in your main fleet. Unfortunately, they're not really good at anything. You just kind of speed tank with them. Cheapest possible gun to reduce cost and because it doesn't hurt your speed as much. What I like to do, since I'm lazy, is I kind of make an Omni destroyer that can do everything I need it to do. And destroyers, they're not good at fighting, so I'll usually leave the gun 1 on there. I don't really need the extra light attack for my destroyers. You can throw a depth charge on there. These seaplane tenders, if you have them, they do hurt your speed, but they give you a lot of detection. So I'm kind of torn. Sometimes I'll do double depth charge, sometimes I'll do seaplane tender. If you want to kill all the enemy's subs, just make them a non-issue, you probably want to go more depth charge heavy. If you just want to keep your convoys safe, once you're able to detect the subs, it usually scares them off and they won't be able to kill your convoys, although you probably won't be killing as many of them. Air is also really good at killing submarines, so if you have a lot of naval bombers, you don't really need your destroyers to be that capable of killing enemy subs. You can put torpedoes on there if you want. It will make your big naval clashes a bit better. Is it really worth the cost, though? I'd rather put that IC into stronger capital ships, so I usually leave it alone. I'll typically throw sonar on there. Here's actually a thing. You see how you can put sonar in both of these slots? It only lets you save it if you have them in only a single sonar module. Since you want detection on your destroyers, this module, the radar sonar one, you want to leave this empty for now, and once you get radar, you would like to put radar in there. And that way you can have sonar taking up your fire control area here, because this fire control, you're only adding cost to increase your light and heavy hit chance. We don't really care about that for our destroyers. Our destroyers don't really do damage. So you have sonar here. Once you get radar, you can put radar here. And I think this is just a very good universal design. You can throw raiding shipbuilder. This is also if you just want to like, man, I don't want to think about ship MEOs. There's all these different ones I don't have to do. Just go raiding shipbuilders. This one is just kind of generically the best. You go right side here to get more speed. If you're making capitals, you can pick up these two nodes for the reduced visibility and the heavy attack, which is very good. After that, you can come over here and get speed for your capital screens and submarines. Very nice. This only affects your cruisers, but you need to pick it up if we want to go down further in the tree. This one, very good for your submarines, lowering visibility. Then you can pick up this one, again, lowering visibility for capitals and screens. And then you can just kind of keep filling out the tree till you get this extra production output. This is good on submarines if you don't have a submarine MEO. It's good on capital ships. It's good on screens. You really can just put raiding shipbuilder on anything. Very simple, very easy to remember. When it comes to cruisers, there are a few different metas. Cruisers, armor can be very good. So if you want to go for quality cruisers, you can do that, get the highest armor value. Preferably armor 3. You need the tech for that, though. Right here, cruiser and battleship armor. You have to go all the way up to this one, which takes quite a while, so I usually don't bother. When designing your cruisers, things to keep in mind, if you keep an eye on this little diamond up here, see how it's got the X? This means this ship is currently a light cruiser. It's classified as a screen. If I put a medium or higher battery on it, you see these light batteries? They don't change anything. If you put a medium battery on here, you get the check mark. Now it's considered a capital. So now when you save it, it'll be saved as a heavy cruiser. If something's a capital, it'll be in the back rank. The screens will try to protect it from enemy torpedoes and enemy targeting. They tend to be more expensive. They tend to do more damage. It's basically like chess. Screens are your pawns. Capitals are your back row valuable pieces. Your knights and your bishops and all that. Heavy and light cruisers are both really good, really viable. If you just want like a really easy to follow rule, just stack light attack. That pretty much never goes wrong against the AI. These secondary batteries on pretty much all ships in all situations, second battery 2 and secondary battery 3, especially the one that has anti-air built into it. These are just really, really good stats per cost. Typically, what I'll do, I'll slap 2 of these in the 2 middle slots. You put the best engine on, as always. You can put another secondary battery here. Put on armor or don't. It's up to you. I usually don't because I just like cheaper things. I don't even bother with anti-air on cruisers. I don't think it's worth it. Typically, air is going to attack the biggest ships they can find, so that's going to be your battleships and your carriers. So I just don't even bother. It slows you down. It's extra IC. Not really worth it. You can put... I usually put fire control on these guys because we are actually trying to take use of their stats here, so the extra hit chance is very nice. This is one of the techs if you really want to go full power Navy that you'll want to get. You come down this mechanical computing line where you're getting the research speeds. Advanced fire control here. This is really good. Even if you can get 2 on there, it's very good. It ups your production cost a lot, but the extra hit chance is really, really huge. It makes them do a lot more damage. But again, as with most things in the Navy, you do not need it. You can win without any of that. Radar 2 only gives visibility bonuses, and then radar 3 gives hit chance bonuses. Yeah, so now you'll have to do a special project if you want to unlock these techs. That means you need an aviation facility, whatever it's called. You need a breakthrough point, and then you can unlock radar. That'll allow you to research these. It takes a while to get. It's a bit of an investment. It is really good, but again, you don't need it. Okay, so you'll start off after you finish the project with radar 1. That will only give you extra detection chance, which is still good, but from radar 2 onwards, this is where you get the things that actually increase your damage done. You get extra hit chance on your light and heavy batteries, and that becomes worth putting in here. So if you have that, you put radar in this. Don't bother with sonar. We don't really attack subs with these. You can see they don't have any depth charges. It's a total waste to put any on if there's any. Yeah, complete waste. We have destroyers for that. Much cheaper, much more expendable. And these 2 slots, honestly, if you want it to be really cheap, like this is fine. This can work just fine. If you want a little more power, you can slap on another medium battery here. I would typically just go for the highest level. Like these medium 2s are really good. It's a nice balance of stats for the cost. If you want even more, this is typically what I'll do if I'm going heavy cruisers. You put this on here. Again, armor, no armor, up to you. Makes you a little more survivable, makes you better at fighting, but it costs more, so you're going to have fewer ships. And then, of course, we can just slow on? We can just throw on the rating Mio, and this is a great heavy cruiser design. If you want to spam light cruisers, you can use these light cruiser batteries. Again, remember, any single heavy battery forces you to be a capital, even in this top row. So if we swap these guys all to light, there we go. Now this is a screen. It's an expensive screen, but you typically start with a Navy if you're a country that can do Navy stuff, so you won't need that many screens. You do want them, but it's totally viable. You know, if you're not worried about subs, you have NAVs to deal with all the submarines. You can just only spam these good light attack cruisers and use those for screening, and your fleet will probably just wipe anything the AI will throw at you. Or if you want to do heavies, you can do this too. You know, tinker around, play with whatever you want. Honestly, against the AI, they are all super viable, super good. It's the only thing. Make sure you got max engine that's available to you, and make sure you throw on just as many of these secondary batteries as you can. Honestly, these things are just really good. And that's about it. Then battle cruiser and battleship designs, it's, again, going to be the same thing. Armor, totally up to you. You actually do have to have at least 1 armor if you're making battleships, battle cruisers, but this secondary slot, put the best secondary engine, put the best engine. If you're doing these, I would typically just err on the side of the more expensive guns, like gun 2, gun 3, whatever you have. It is viable, and it can make sense in some situations to use the lower level guns, because you are taking speed hits with all of these. But if I'm gonna have a battleship, I want it just to do a ton of damage. This, I actually will throw anti-air on, just put the best AA on there. Get your fire control on there. Once you have radar, get your radar on there. And then up here, I would typically always have at least 2 batteries. I think that makes the most sense in terms of having something that can actually do damage. But if you want, put a 3rd one. I typically like having a 3rd one. And then these 2 slots, again, I would do secondaries. Honestly, you can throw more anti-air in here if you want, but again, the AI is just not competent at Navy. They will not really threaten you with an Air Force. So I would just do this. Double secondary, the secondary over here. Again, best engine. Slap 2 or 3 main guns on there. And that's it. You're pretty much good to go. Again, throw on rating, done. If you want to do carriers, a basic carrier here. This is going to be very similar. For these, I would recommend no armor. It just isn't worth it. The carriers are in like their own like super special backline. You just don't have to worry about them getting blasted by guns typically. So we throw secondary on here. You don't even need radar. Sometimes I'll put it, doesn't matter. You do want AA on this because carriers are a high priority for enemy carrier NAVs. They helps keep them alive. And then every module space you have available, hangar space, just all hangar space. This deck armor, useless, don't even bother. Just all hangar space, everything hangar space. Something to note, when you are building carriers, you have this little plane button right here. This thing is very helpful. If you click this, you can set whatever the default plane loadout will be once this produces. You just go max carrier naval bomber, and then due to overstacking penalties, you want to have 4 carriers per fleet, per task force. If you have more than 4, you start running into penalties. There are ways to get around it. Like, you can get 5 without too much hassle. If you want a 5th carrier, you have to make sure that the last carrier in the list order has a single fighter wing. Again, it's all splitting hairs. Like, it's just a pain. You don't need to do it. I would just run 4 carriers with max naval bombers, and that will destroy everything. This thing here, auto, this is where, you come into your naval menu. Your ships get put in reserve if they're left on auto. Here they are, and then we have to right-click to put them into our admirals, and then right-click again to merge them up, and yada yada, kind of a pain. What you can do instead, especially once you finally have your navy sorted, I usually don't split everything out until just before the war, but what you'll do, you click this auto thing, and then you can click the fleet, boom. Now when this finishes producing, it will just immediately show up inside this fleet. You don't have to do any micro or anything else outside of that. But you kind of have to have things set up for that. So you'd have to, like, typically what I do, split off the submarines, put them under a submarine admiral. I'll split off destroyers like this. Then I'll split them in half. I'll take half of them, merge them back into the fleet so we still have our screening. And then I'll take these destroyers, make another fleet, and then, you can change the color or whatever suits you. And this can be your patrol guys. Select this, hit D to split it a bunch, and you can say, okay, guys, don't engage. You can prepare whenever you want. That's fine. And then make sure we select the Admiral here. And then you say, hey, I just want you to patrol these sea zones. Your main navy here, you go strike force, put it on those same sea zones. And there you go. That's just the general basics of how you fight with Navy. These little guys, they'll just sail around, look for enemies. Oh, hey, we spotted an enemy. If your fleet thinks it's stronger than that enemy, it'll sail out, engage it, kill it, sail right back. And then that's really all you have to do. It's pretty simple. And then your naval dominance, you can kind of see the meter here. It's not going to be active because we're not at war yet, but this will kind of build up and lower over time based on the ships that are doing missions in these tiles. This is the big change now. Instead of just dominance a ship provides being a factor of manpower, it's now the mission that is providing the dominance, and that's taken into account along with whatever the ship type is. And the interesting thing is strike force, this is a modifier. This does not give a flat amount of naval dominance, which means you actually need at least a single ship patrolling in a tile before strike force contributes anything to the naval dominance. This is why I have my patrol admiral here. I typically like to just have 10 very low, like somewhere between like 1 to 5 ships. Like 10 task forces of 1 to 5 ships is typically what I would do. Have your sea zones assigned, make sure that he's patrolling, and then everything else, all of your capitals, your battleships, your carriers, your armored cruisers, all of that, and enough screens to cover them. Just put it in one big doom stack here. Strike force, make sure you're strike forcing the same tiles that you're patrolling, and that's just a very basic how-to of what you're doing with naval combat. Typically, I would have at least one kind of screen ship being produced, some kind of sub being produced, and then some kind of capital being produced. And generally speaking, battleships just take a long time to build. I like just doing heavy cruisers because it's super easy and you can produce them really fast. We'll go under this light cruiser tab so we can actually access the chassis 2 here. We'll put on a medium gun to make it a capital. Throw on the secondary battery. I don't really want to do armor. We'll just keep them cheap. Don't really want to do anti-air. We'll keep them cheap. We'll throw on a fire control. Throw on another battery. Throw on 2 of these secondaries. another medium battery. And sure, looks good. There we go. Now after we save it, you have to come back to this heavy cruiser tab. You can see it's saved in here now. Now that I have these 3, as I get more dockyards through the course of playing the game, either through capturing them or building them or focus trees, I'll just kind of like add on here and there. You can set the screens to just deploy to your capital fleet. That's generally what I would do, just to make sure your screening is continuing to increase, because you will lose screens over time in your main fleet. And then if you're spotting general or starts running out of ships because they're getting sunk or whatever, I'll just pop back over to the main fleet here. And then again, we'll just right-click the destroyers, select them all, D to split them in half, merge half of them back up, take these guys, bring them over here, D again to split them out, and then boom, you have more guys patrolling around. Now for your naval doctrine picks, I'm still not sure which are the absolute best, or even if there is an absolute best. All I can say is, as long as you're getting buffs from anything, you'll probably be fine. Is there really a noticeable difference, at least playing against the AI, between line of battle and fast battleships? In my experience, not really. You're still going to win no matter what you choose. Just have a doctrine. You just need stats from somewhere. If you really care, though, I would just say think about whatever your main plan is and then pick whatever is giving the most stats for that. So if you're going very battleship heavy, you probably want to go line of battle, for example. If you're focused on destroyers, just find anything that gives bonuses for destroyers across all the categories and lean towards that. Again, other than that, it doesn't really matter. The only thing I'll point out is this long-range submarines doctrine reduces visibility for your submarines, which is really good. So if you're doing subs, this is probably one of the best options. And then there used to be this patrol boats used to lower destroyer visibility by, I think, like 20% or something like that. And you could stack a ton of visibility reduction on destroyers across the various doctrines. It's nerfed now. It's probably still decent just because visibility is such a good stat, but you can't have completely overpowered destroyers anymore, I don't think. But yeah, just pick whichever one buffs the primary ship that you're working towards, be that, you know, armored cruisers, submarines, carriers, whatever it may be. It's going to be war soon, so the other thing we're going to do, new system that got added, is you can now put an admiral in charge of your, I guess, naval theater. This kind of works the same as a field marshal, essentially. If you imagine the field marshal as the naval headquarters guy, and then your admirals as the equivalent of generals, it's basically the same system. As far as I can tell, these little medallion bonuses, I don't think they apply if you're in the naval headquarters. I think only the stats matter. I could be wrong on that, but that seems to be the way it works. Generally recommend just whichever guy you're not going to use to directly control your navies, just throw them in there. And what that'll do is, as long as you are operating within, you can see where this naval headquarters is built. It's based on distance from this location. So if you click on it, any naval combat that occurs in any of these green sea tiles, they're going to have additional buffs from this guy being in charge, the same as an army gets extra buffs from having a field marshal over them. Alright, war's going to start soon, so I'm going to get the navy set up. We're going to do the same thing we did before. First, get the submarines out of here. Right click, click all submarines. There we go. Now we click on this task force with the submarines. I'm going to hit this plus to put them under a new admiral. Typically what I'll do, just for organization purposes, I'll have my main primary fleet be blue. I'll have my submarines be yellow. It's just easy for me to remember. I usually switch the icon to this submarine too, so that you can find them quickly. And then we need somebody to do patrols. So I'm going to right click on the destroyers. We'll take them all. Click on the destroyer fleet, hit D to split them. We're going to take half of them, put them back into our main fleet so we still have screening. We click on these 12 here. We're going to hit this plus to create another admiral. I usually do red for my patrols. And then something else I really like to do when selecting the whatever admiral you're using for your main fleet, we're going to come over here and we're going to hit New Theater. Now what this will do, you can see we have basically two different UIs. We have Theater 1 here with our subs and our patrols, then we have Theater 2 with our main fleet. What this allows you to do, you can click this little fleet priority button here and make it high priority. And what that does is whenever ships in this theater engage in any naval combat, you'll get a little notification up here that they're fighting. If you were to leave them under one theater and do that, it's bad because every time your subs engage some random convoy somewhere, you just constantly get a little notification. That's not helpful. You don't need to know that your subs are engaging things all the time. You do need to know when your main fleet gets into combat, though, because that's when you want to start making various decisions. Like maybe you want to move all of your air over the sea zone so you can get your naval bombers in there, get green air to help them out. Potentially retreat if the battle's not going in your favor. So I like to have main fleet, second theater, high priority. Everything else can just be left in the main theater. Now I'll assign some admirals here. Similar to land armies, the most important thing is attack. That's kind of your best stat. In terms of traits, bold is very, very, very good. It's one of the best traits in the game. The other thing to look for is blockade runner, which I don't think we have any, but the benefits of blockade runner, it unlocks this concealment expert. This is, again, lowered visibility. This is the best trait you can pick, really, just across all. Doesn't matter, submarines, patrol ships, your main naval fleet, you always want concealment expert if you can get it. It's very, very good. That said, it can be really hard to get blockade runner, so if none of your admirals start with it, I wouldn't worry about it too much. But that's just something to look out for. Blockade runner, for the purposes of getting concealment expert, is very good for any of your admirals. So what we're going to do here, unfortunately, this guy also has old guard, which is really bad. The leadership gain, or the experience gain, does hurt a lot. We might still use him though. It's really nobody else. I think we're just gonna use him. It's kind of unfortunate, but whatever. We're going to stop our main navy from training. This is very important before you go to war. We will set repair priority only on our main fleet to don't repair. I went over this before, but you only want these guys repairing when you explicitly tell them to repair. That way they're always watching the sea zones, they're always keeping the naval dominance going, they're always ready to engage the enemy fleet. Then we want to turn off automatic split off just so that we don't have ships randomly leaving. If you end up getting in some big naval engagement and half of your ships have decided to just leave and sail back to port to repair, then you're fighting at half strength unintentionally, and that can be very dangerous. Another thing you can do is aggressiveness. If you switch to always engage, it can help so that your fleet doesn't kind of like panic and decide halfway through a fight, no, we're actually going to leave, based on the AI's calculation on whether you'll win or not. That's a bit more advanced because it requires you, the player, to know when you want the ships to stay engaged and not run away, or when you should be just taking every fight. I would generally just leave this at medium risk is usually fine. And then we will come over here to our patrol ships. Again, for this one, you just kind of want blockade runner for concealment expert. Destroyer leader is very good for hunting down submarines. Hunter killer, good for the same reason. So you can get either of these through spotter or fleet protector or tactician, though, so they're usually available. Not a big deal. So we just want stats, really. We'll just go ahead and throw this guy in here. And then we want him to have destroyer leader, which also reduces visibility only for destroyers, though. And we'll give him hunter killer, too. Now we tell him to stop repair. For my patrol ships, we'll hit D a few times here with him selected. Split these guys, too. There we go. Now we have 10 full patrols. You want to be careful where you place these sea regions, because the boats do physically need to go to those regions. So if you're worried that You know, maybe I am not in a good position to fight the British Navy right now. You probably don't want to have them doing things in the English Channel. Maybe you don't want to have them doing things in the North Sea. We just want to deny the Allied ability to naval invade us, so we just want to try to control this tile, really. Maybe these back ones over here. There's not really a threat from that direction at the moment, but we might as well. We'll put it on patrol. When they are patrolling, they will start to generate naval dominance. When we're at war, you'll see this bar will start to fill. This is what gives you just a flat value of naval dominance. This can be boosted significantly by your main fleet when you use Strike Force. So we'll put Strike Force, we'll put them on those same tiles. And what this will do, they'll just sit in port, not wasting fuel, not wasting resources, not putting themselves at risk, but they will multiply whatever your patrol value is, and this is going to allow you to gain naval dominance in these tiles, either to naval invade the enemy or to stop them from naval invading you. And there are a few other changes they've made to the system where now, when you have more naval dominance, it reduces the amount of convoys you need and little like things like that. You really don't need to worry about that. That all just kind of goes on in the background. And then our submarines, you can tell them to stop training. Seawolf is obviously very good for submarines, and it does take a while to grind, so starting with Seawolf can be nice. That said, if I had the choice between an Admiral who has Seawolf and an Admiral who has Concealment Expert / Blockade Runner, I would probably take the Concealment Expert because they will grind Seawolf eventually. It's really just a matter of time. That said, as Germany, we don't have any Blockade Runner people, and we already have a Seawolf, and Donitz already has a lot of stats, so we're just going to go ahead and use him. We get Silent Hunter, we get Torpedo Expert, we get Loading Drill Master, and this is basically it. Once you have these traits for your submarine guy, nothing else matters. Maybe if you get Spotter, that can be nice. You can spot enemy convoys faster. You maybe want to do Search Pattern Expert if you can get it. These are nice to have. Lancer, the screen penetration only helps really if you're engaging enemy fleets. Your submarines typically don't engage enemy fleets. So between the two choices here, we always want to go Silent Hunter so that our submarines don't get revealed and killed when they're hunting convoys. In terms of your submarine task forces, you don't want to overstack them too much. Like, you don't just want one blob of 60 submarines, because then they can only find and engage a single convoy at a time. So you do want a number of them. That said, it's not wrong to have larger groups, like groups of 10, groups of 20. That's all totally reasonable. The more you stack in there, the more quickly they'll destroy the convoys when they find them, but they won't be able to find as many convoys, obviously, because there aren't as many dispersed ships patrolling around, so that's kind of up to you. We'll just split them into groups of 5 for now. The other thing, once you split them, if you go back in your production, if you had them assigned to a specific task force and then you split them, you might have to reassign that. Typically what I'll do, I'll just pick one at random. You can see these yellow ones, these are our submarine groups. Just pick a random one, and then as the game progresses, that one particular group will have more and more subs dumped into it. So occasionally I'll go back, check the Navy, and then, oh, look at this. This has like 30 submarines in it. You just select that, hit D a few times to split it so you have more evenly balanced groups to work with, and then you can go back to whatever else you were doing. And the same is true for your patrol fleet. I'll leave the destroyers reinforcing the main fleet, and then every so often, if I notice, I'm running low on patrols, you just head back over into this other theater. You find your destroyers, right-click, split off the destroyers, click it, D to split them, click this guy, send him over into this theater, and there you go. You'll have more patrols to work with. Thing to watch out for when you're using submarines, if you hover over the C tile here, you'll see these different modifiers on it. These can matter a lot. So like you can see here, this is doubling our submarine visibility. This is really, really bad. Shallow seas, very bad for submarines. That said, I'm not particularly worried, just because if the Allies try to fight us in this C tile, we have all of our air support, we have all of our ships focusing on this one region. There's just no way they cause us any real harm in this zone. But there are other areas. So right here, the North Sea, for example, this also very bad for submarines, 100% increased visibility. you don't really want your subs here unless you're very confident you have a massive naval advantage, because the UK will find and destroy all your submarines in this area, and it will be very sad for you. So another thing to note is not just your ships, but also your convoys will kind of just route through whatever sea tiles are the most expedient. Something you probably want to do is down here, you get these buttons to allow full movement through the sea zones. You can say, hey, try to avoid this tile if possible, and you can say, don't go through this tile no matter what. Typically for Axis at the start of the game for the English channel, I'll say, don't go through this no matter what, because what will happen is as you're conquering the Low Countries and pushing into France, your troops will want supply, and as the railroads are still fixing, there's no land supply, so your convoys will attempt to sail to these ports to try to supply your troops. And as your convoys are in this sea zone, Britain will destroy and raid all of them. It's very annoying. So I would leave this off until you have a better control over the situation. Just keep in mind, if you're ever trying to do any naval invasions or you're not getting supply to some area and you're wondering, well, where's my supply? What's going on? Make sure you always check these sea tiles. You may have all possible routes to that area blocked off. Now, when we set up our naval bombers, even if they're the heavy fighter version, you do the same thing. We want to naval strike, but we also want to patrol. Patrol greatly increases your ability to actually find things to hit with your naval bombers. If you do this and you just have both missions on, whenever it comes time in the day to roll a sortie, it's basically going to pick between one or the other. So it doesn't benefit you really to have both of these missions on. You kind of just want to stick to one, so that whenever these guys sortie, they will always patrol. Whenever these guys sortie, they will always naval strike. I would tend to try to keep a similar number of patrol to naval strike, but really at bare minimum, you want one aircraft wing patrolling the sea zone at all times, you know, any sea zone that you're operating your air in. And then you can put the bulk of the other ones on naval strike for the area. And now we are ready. Just going to wait until the 12th for our collab to finish here. But you can see naval combat just popped up. This tooltip is from our increased fleet alert priority in this main theater. And we can see they are engaged in combat. So we click on that. Here's our little icon. And there we go. This is our main fleet. We caught some of the British light cruisers. And this is what I was talking about with AI, why the Navy just seems a lot easier now. It's because they'll do things like this. They'll take not super inexpensive ships and they'll just kind of throw them piecemeal into sea zones trying to patrol. So see, we just kind of catch them and we start blasting them. Our Air Force is just going to keep harrying this sea zone. Our submarines are going to keep hunting around there, and we're just going to try to kill everything in this area for the time being. Now that we have our dockyards maxed out here and we have extra ones, I'm going to start building even more capitals. I think this was our guy. Yeah, this is our guy. Start another line of that, and we'll set him to reinforce our main fleet. You can see he got in another fight here. Again, just a bunch of piecemeal allied vessels. We'll start sinking some of those destroyers. And we'll just keep trying to pick them apart in favorable sea zones. As long as we don't try to engage them in any of these further away areas, we should be okay. We want to fight under our own air cover. Something that I would do, it doesn't matter because we're going to crush them, but if there were a larger fleet here that I was engaging, what you would want to do is just take all of your airplanes here, just shift click to get them all, and then you would want to like move the air zone over here, deploy them like that, and hopefully they can get there in time to help the battle. But it's just enemy patrol ships, there's no way we lose, so I'll just let them keep doing their thing over here. And there goes Poland. Again, we found some submarines. And again, they're trying to engage with their submarines in this sea tile, where, if you remember, massive increase to sub visibility. We have airplanes doing naval patrol. We have airplanes doing naval strike. And we have our ships patrolling around, so they will lose a lot of submarines in this tile if they keep trying to engage us here. And because the AI just does not know what it's doing, they will keep trying to engage us here. So, this is really the secret. If you just do super basic naval control, you will just dominate the AI. Go after Belgium now. Goes Belgium. Now our fuel is kind of getting low. Going to see if we can't import some. Grab some from Iran. Oh, that is a big naval engagement. So we're going to peel off one of our fighters here just so we can stop their... They don't even have any carriers. Whatever. We'll do it anyway. You can see our screening's becoming an issue, but we're in a favorable sea zone. We got our Admiral going. We have our... We actually don't even have any bonuses from our Doctrine yet, but we have selective engagement. And this is going to go very well for us. Again, remember, just at the start of the game, we didn't do Plan Z. We didn't build any additional dockyards. We have like 12 since game start. Very, very minimal investment. We don't even have any of the techs yet. See, we didn't get smoke generators. We didn't get these extra stats. We haven't picked up these guys yet. And against the AI, we will still just crush whatever they had just from using our starting navy, a few ships we built, and some sensible control. Now, once you've selected all of your doctrines here so that you're able to make progress on them, now I would recommend using your naval XP to save you on research time. So this is when I would start grabbing these techs that help you fight better. Do bracket shooting first. You can see 212 days normally, or we just spend 50 XP and it cuts it all the way down to 88. This is massive, massive, massive value. I would generally recommend not researching these things unless you have the XP to shorten the amount of time it takes, because it's such a huge difference. Look at that. You're cutting it from 224 to 100, more than half, just for 50 Navy XP, which is super easy to come by. There goes France, establish Vichy. You can see here, we got another naval fight. Again, the AI just doesn't play it well. They don't have a commander. It's just like a ragtag. We got 3 armored cruisers here, 8 destroyers. Our main fleet is very much all coherent. And you just win these little victories, little victory after little victory, and you will slowly pick their navy apart. Let's see how they're doing now. They still have a lot of ships, still at around 200, 250, but we will whittle them. And we'll begin the air war. Yep, see, once again, they've engaged us with a bunch of capitals, just kind of like a smattering of other ships. And yeah, our screening's not the best, but it's still not going to matter because we have our air up. We have our naval headquarters right here. We have good supply, and we have our fleet kind of doom stacked. And we just pick them apart little by little. And you will lose planes and submarines every so often, but this is such a good trade. The amount of IC it takes to build a battle cruiser is infinitely more than it takes to build 7 NAVs. These are all good trades. Don't be worried if you're like, oh no, we lost 3 planes, but we killed an armored cruiser, 4 light cruisers, 16 destroyers. That's unbelievably worth it. Just fight over nearby good sea zones and you will pick them apart. So we are building a bunch more dockyards here. We really don't need to, as you can see. We're winning just with what we have, which is only a third. It might even be, it's probably less than that. They have about 50 dockyards now. We've so fewer, and yet we're still going to just keep picking away. Again, they're down to around 200 now. They used to be at 250. Now that we have naval set up in this area, we can do our invasion of Norway. And we can only set 2 orders, but do what we can here. Actually, yeah, I do need more screens. Let's go back to destroyers. We'll put those in our main fleet. Alright, our plan is active, so we're going to go ahead and send them. While they're going out there, we're going to click our main fleet. We're going to switch to naval invasion support. I'll give them a bonus when they try to land. Alright, they're not going. Hello? Not sure why he isn't going. I'm a dummy dumb. Don't be like me, I completely forgot I didn't declare war on Norway. Which is why the naval invasion wasn't going. Whoopsies. I have made that mistake before, I have made it again, and I'll probably make it again in the future. Well, in the meantime, let's train our Marines so we're not getting that 25% debuff. I guess this is another thing to consider with the changes to the naval invasion system. It's better to have better invading divisions now. Like before, you could maybe get away just with spamming a huge number of tanks or infantry or whatever to get your naval invasions to land, but now since you can only send a small number of troops over, it's better for those troops to be higher quality. So I think Marines are relatively more important. I'm not being super optimal here. Again, you really do not need to be. Here we go. Now our plan is done, and now we'll actually declare on Norway. Now we do it, and they should get moving. There they go. Now we switch to naval invasion support. Oh, they've tried to intercept us here. But we're going to win that fairly handily. Screening keeps getting worse, but we are building more destroyers. We have landed. Air war going very well. It's basically won. Just finish off Norway very quickly, and then we'll see if we can't Sealion. Okay, let's make our improved naval bomber here. Just going to swap to these better torpedoes, and then we will swap to the more powerful engine, and that's it. Doesn't even cost us much in terms of efficiency. So you do that, and you're still making a whole bunch. Switch this guy back to Strike Force, and now we are going to expand a bit. We're going to allow this English Channel Sea Zone. We're going to right-click to add, and switch to our patrols, right-click to add. And you know what? We'll put our submarines in there too. Again, it's not a good sea zone for submarines. I just want them in there to be a nuisance, honestly. And you can see here we've been building up. We now have 12 in this task force because we've been automatically producing them into a single task force. So now we click on him, we click on this task force, we hit D to split them. And then, you know, make sure they're both doing their thing. We'll switch them all to rating here. And there we go. That's all you need. Now, we're also going to move our Sea Zone Air over, since I think we're going to be fighting more in the channel from now on. Yep. Again, normally you would not want to put your submarines in this tile because of how bad it is, but I feel very confident in our current situation. We have complete air dominance. Our main strike force is still very much intact. We may actually want this ship to split off and repair. Oops, if you click that, it makes them all repair. Maybe not what you want. You know what, we actually do want them to repair. We'll leave it be. We're going to go back into our naval repair queue here. We're going to bump it up to max again so that they can all repair at the same time, more or less. I may consider turning my submarines off if they start getting raided too much while our fleet is away. We're once again going to set up a naval invasion. Do Dover, why not? Doesn't really matter. Something we may want to consider here. I'm going to get landing craft. It's good that we get the bonus for it because we get the 15% invasion defense. Defense in combat is equivalent to breakthrough, so this is also 15% breakthrough for our naval invading forces, which is very good. Start researching that. And in the event that we unsuccessfully attempt to invade, being able to set up more orders for the next run will be nice. And we are setting our spies here to build intel networks everywhere. What this will do is it negates their entrenchment bonus, which is going to make it significantly easier for us to land. You can do Case Anton, I've never hit that before. It lets us seize the French fleet, so actually I'm not going to, because I just want to show. Obviously, if we get the French fleet on top of our own, that would be a significant advantage, but I just want to keep dealing with our just our starting fleet and the little bit of navy we've made. Oh, you can see there the British Navy is starting to come out now. That's why we're losing our dominance here, because we're repairing. Yeah, we're just going to let our capitals finish repairing here, and then maybe we can have one big showdown against the British Navy before we Sealion. Let's also get this Marine Special Force Doctrine, which will give us Pioneers, amongst other things. Throw the Pioneers on here. Very good for naval invading, and it gives us a ton of breakthrough. Very strong. Oh yeah, I never gave some extra traits to our Navy guy here. If you're focusing on... This is actually super simple for your main fleet admiral. If you are doing carriers, as mentioned before, concealment expert, always good no matter what. But if you're doing carriers, you want this line here, air controller, flight deck manager, and whichever planes you're using. Typically it's going to be torpedo bombers for carrier navs. And if you are more battleship, battle cruiser, armored cruiser heavy, you're going to go Ironside into safety first and or big gun expert, and then marksman or crisis magician. All of these are good. Ground pounder is not worth it because this short bombardment bonus, it doesn't actually increase the amount of stat bonus you get in a land combat when you're naval invading. It just reduces the number of big ships you need in order to get the maximum bonus, which, you know, if you have any reasonable navy, you're going to hit the cap fairly easily. So we'll get safety first here. We'll get big gun expert, and we're gonna go marksman. Looks like our naval invasion plan is ready. And our ships are mostly repaired. We're going to stop repairing now, so while we have this fleet selected, I'm going to control right click, which will say, are you sure you want to abort this task? Yeah, okay, now our ship is moving out. I don't want them to move there though, I'm going to hit H to stop them. I'm actually going to control right click on Holland here, because this level 10 port is going to be very good for our supply, and it's right next to the sea zone we want to be doing our business in. Something else you can do, here I'll show on some of these other ones. They added this new feature which lets the AI choose the home base for you, so it'll try to prioritize high supply that's close to whatever tile you're in, and the shortcut for that is Shift S. So if you do that, you can see they'll just automatically pick a nearby port. In my experience, this system is not very good, so I would tend to just manually set ports, but if you want to be lazy, that's always an option. Here, we'll even do it for these guys. See, it picks Luorden for both of them, which is only level 3, and it's kind of far away compared to, like, this level 10 in Brest, or even, like, this level 6 in Nord-Pas-de-Calais. And now we can turn Strike Force back on for our main fleet. You can see he's already going to try to engage the British over there. See, now in this case, we're going to set him to always engage. This way he won't retreat no matter what, unless the fleet's basically dead. So this is kind of like the all-in button, if you will. We don't have any other air to put up, that's fine. Something else you can do, you can take all of your casts. Typically they'll be able to naval strike depending on what modules you have on them, but in a pinch, if you really need to win a naval battle, you can set all your cast to naval strike, put them up as well. And now here we go. We have everything possibly, everything that can fly is trying to naval strike into this battle. We have our main fleet. We have a very large British fleet. And we're just going to demolish them. See if we can't re-engage them somewhere. Looks like they're going to get away, but that's fine. We'll just keep picking them off. We check on the British again. Remember they started at what, like 300, then we dropped them down to 250, then down to 200. Now they're down to 144. And we did build some dockyards. We captured a bunch from France, but basically for the first like 4 years of the game, we've built almost no dockyards. I think we ended up building like 10 or something like that. Not a lot. Very little naval investment. We've only gotten a handful of Navy techs. What did we get? This one. We got this one. We're getting this one now, and we're getting this one now. Britain has the, second strongest Navy in the game, only behind US, potentially. Germany has not a terribly good starting Navy, but it's really all you need. The AI is just not very formidable after this DLC. Not that they were before, but I feel like they're even weaker now. And as you can see, we've gotten enough naval dominance. So now we're going to launch our invasion order. We'll go to our main fleet here, switch them to naval invasion support. Oh, we've already landed, doesn't even matter. We want to try to push out as soon as we're able to. There we go. We're going to send in the whole army. This will be a supply issue, but I think our Marines are good enough. We're going to be able to move out and capture more ports before it ends up overstacking with all of our extra soldiers coming in here. We're going to send in our tanks as well. Oh, see, they're trying to stop us. Doesn't matter. Still going to dominate them. Get our CAS overhead. I don't even feel like microing anymore, so we're just going to grab these and with the AI throw them over our boys here. Oh, look at that. We didn't even take the Operation Sealion focus for all of these buffs. I guess we'll do that now. It's a bit late, but you really don't need it. You don't need to be optimal. You don't need to min-max all the focuses or all the buffs or all the bonuses. I got a ton of notifications, but not even going to bother addressing any of them because game's pretty much over at this point. Just send the tanks to all the important supply locations. Green air everywhere, CAS everywhere. Don't really need anything other than that. And there we go. Allies defeated, wars won. That's all you have to do.